Hey guys, welcome back to Renaissance Man Media, and today I'm coming back at you with my Week 4 review, my Week 4 reaction in the NFL, and then my Week 5 preview. So we're going to start last Thursday with Jags-Bengals, and so that game, Jags started out strong, Trevor Lawrence looked good, and then second half, they couldn't really get anything together in the Bengals. That's basically, I don't know, they seemed like a second half team so far this year. Second half, they put it on the Jags and adjusted, and Joe Burrow showed out, looked good, and that's two young quarterbacks that I really think will be great in the NFL. I don't have any doubt about their success. I think they'll both be really they'll both be really good. Um, right now, they just kind of need like the rest of the roster around them, and then obviously they'll progress and get even better. But yeah, Joe Burrow looked good. Bengals are 3-1. Jags are 0-4. And then the Urban Meyer situation happened. While it's not a good look as far as what happened, because that's an issue between him and his wife, as far as the woman that he was hanging out with, or if she was really with him or not with him. Um, Everyone's made a big deal about him not being back on the plane with the guys, and he stayed there. Now, here's my thing. They were going to have the weekend off anyway, and Urban has a connection to Ohio. So I I don't have a problem with the fact that if he does this like one time, because obviously they're going to be playing on Thursday night all the time. If someone did this one time, if Trevor Lawrence, like after they played and he was like, hey, I have family here in like South Carolina or whatever, and I'd like to, if they played in North Carolina and he said, I want to stay here after playing the Panthers, and he's like, I got family here or something like that, I don't know why anyone would really have a problem with that. Even if they lost, if he just like they're like, hey, we have the weekend off, it doesn't make any sense for me to fly back with you guys and then go take another flight when I'm already here. When people talk about like this is the NFL and this is adult men, like a grown locker room, you need your handheld like on the plane, like yes, you that doesn't necessarily mean you're not a team. That's the part that I don't get. I understand if this was every week, Urban was like, I'm not flying back with the team because I want to go do something else, whatever. But he did this one time. And then, yes, he got in this scandal. It doesn't look good, and I get all that. And he apologized for it. He said he screwed up because a coach shouldn't be a distraction. I completely agree. And if I'm a player, I would accept his apology. This whole crap about like players are laughing him out of the locker or whatever. I don't know. Look at yourselves. You're 0-4. Like, I don't know. What, you gonna like sit there and laugh at the dude because he did this and you guys have never made a mistake? I just find it kind of ridiculous. The NFL media is like really hard. The media in general that covers the NFL, they all seem like they want Urban Meyer to be fired, and I think that might be just because it's good for ratings where people are talking about a scandal. I've never understood that because as an NFL fan, as a sports fan in general, the last thing I really care to talk about is scandals. I like the last scandal that I really wanted the media to talk about was probably the Houston Astros scandal because everyone hates the Houston Astros because they actually cheated, and people wanted them to talk about it. But I think it's kind of ridiculous. Like if he does it again, then okay, you have a criteria to be like Urban, you're not setting a good example as a leader. Maybe it's time for you to go. But after one time, and on top of that, it's not like he did anything criminal. He just didn't fly back with the team, was hanging out at his own place, his restaurant, and he got caught on some cameras with the woman that was grinding up on him. That he didn't push her off, but I didn't really see him. People said they saw an image of him grabbing her butt. I didn't see that, but anyway. So I still have faith in Urban Meyer because his team, I don't know, I thought they were playing hard, and I thought they've been getting better week by week. They almost won this game, so. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bunch of crap, and if they choose to let him go, like if they really wanted to fire him, I think that says more about you that you have a constant carousel of coaches that you go through. Doug Marrone took your team to the AFC Championship game, then you guys trade away all the players and then wonder why they suck. That's why you're the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, Okay, so the next game, Chiefs-Eagles. My Chiefs beat the Eagles. The Eagles scored a late touchdown to make it look like it was close. It wasn't that close. Basically, we were more proficient. We turned the ball over one time with an interception. Mahomes threw an interception. But other than that, offense looked great. Tyreek Hill went off. The Eagles, they still scored in our defense, but they're not us, and they weren't able to score as often. And that's kind of what it came down to. So I'm very happy that we got a win. I'm happy that Andy got his 100th win in Philly. That was awesome. He got his 100th win as a Chiefs coach, but he got it in Philly, which is pretty cool. I don't I'll just say this. I think my Chiefs will be fine. We're not. We have holes on defense, that's for sure. And on offense, someone said this where it looks like we're more. Our offensive line looks like they are better at run blocking than pass blocking. That might be true. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the pass blocking be great yet, but we played some really good teams, so we'll find out. We'll find out if everyone can get better. On the Eagles side, I don't think Nick Sirianni is the answer, personally. I haven't seen anything from him. Like, the guy doesn't seem like a leader. He seems too young, but he just doesn't seem like he has the charisma to be a leader of men because he can't back it up with his X's and O's. Sean McVay doesn't look on the surface like that's a leader of an NFL team. He doesn't. I mean, he can have a stern face, kind of, but most of the time he's, like, excited because a play worked, whatever. But Sean McVay backs it up with his X's and O's, and he gives the players confidence that, like, hey, this is going to work. And he treats the players like men. Kyle Shanahan does the same thing. Those guys win respect by what their actual football knowledge is. I don't know if Nick Sirianni is on that level. And maybe he just doesn't have the offensive talent yet to put that together. Like, the defense has problems for the Eagles, and the offense still to be decided if Jalen Hurts is the answer. Jalen Hurts, to me, is a lot like Daniel Jones, where you see flashes sometimes of like, oh, okay, there's something. There's a reason why you're in the NFL, but you're so inconsistent that I don't know if you can be an everyday starter, so every week starter. Okay, so the next game we had Washington at Atlanta. This game didn't go well for me. I bet on the Falcons. You probably should never bet on the Falcons, but it happens. Well, I guess I bet on the Falcons the previous week against the Giants. That worked out for me, so... Washington won. Atlanta probably should have won because they were up by like 10, I think, in the fourth quarter, and then it just kind of unraveled for them as far as like defensively. Taylor Heinicke, I'm still not sold on that dude. I think what his ceiling is he's a great backup. I think that's what he is because he beat the Falcons. I don't think he's beaten any other team. Like, he's not beating like the medium to good teams. He's not beating those. He's beating like the bad teams. So Atlanta. Their defense is terrible. Their offense is okay. Like, their offense, I would say, like, their average points they should be scoring on offense is probably mid-20s. That's how good their offense is, which isn't, like, dog shit, but it's also not great. Their defense can't really stop anybody, and it's sad because until that gets fixed, they're not going to be a good team. Like, they're really bad. Washington's 2-2. You're a game behind the Cowboys. Atlanta, you're 1-3. You're last place in the division. It's not looking good for them, but I think they have a winnable game, if I recall, this week. So, yeah, it's in London against the Jets, but we'll preview that in a second. Texans got blown out by the Bills 40-0. On one hand, you got to give the Bills credit because even if it's an opponent you should dominate, you still have to go out and dominate them, and they did. And it was raining, so maybe that's the reason why the Texans offense couldn't get going. I'm sure it makes it more difficult, but Davis Mills, I haven't seen anything from that dude, and I still don't understand why they haven't called Cam Newton and just said, hey, man, like, we need you to start. Are you okay with that? And I'm sure Cam would be like, yeah, sure. I'll take any playing time I can get to kind of prove that I can still do this. So, yeah, I think it's unfortunate that the Texans, I don't really know what to say. Brandon Cooks has been like a bright spot. Mark Ingram's okay, but Philip Lindsay's okay. But other than that, I don't really know what else you guys have in Houston. Their defense, I know, has done a few things. They've caused some turnovers. But I don't know. I don't have any hope for them until they trade Deshaun Watson. I don't have any hope for them, and I still don't appreciate how Deshaun Watson has treated the franchise. That he's like, I should be making these decisions. Everyone keeps blaming the Houston franchise. They're like, it's your fault why Deshaun Watson's been upset. It's like, the dude hasn't really won anything. He's won one playoff game. Took you to the playoffs twice, and you guys should just bow down to every demand he makes, even though he's been in the league for like, this is his 5th year, I think. I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous, personally. Deshaun Watson hasn't earned that yet. He's like an up-and-coming, like, star quarterback, but he's not on the level of Mahomes, who was in that same draft class, and he hasn't sustained his level of success because last year, and granted, some of that's Bill O'Brien making stupid personnel decisions. I give you that. Like that. If he was upset about Bill O'Brien even being a coach or being a GM, I completely get that because Bill O'Brien was terrible. I just want good players to be able to play football. Like, I hope all this the stuff with Deshaun Watson gets sorted out where he can actually play football at some point. Doesn't mean that he shouldn't pay his penalty for whatever he gets accused of and is found guilty for. Yeah, the Bills look good. They beat up on some crappy teams. That being said, you still got to beat up on the team, so you You face who you face on your schedule. It is what it is. I don't have a problem with this. They did their jobs. Don't have a problem with it. So Detroit at Chicago. I bet money on this game as well as the Washington Atlanta game, and because I thought the Lions would get their first win, they did not. Justin Fields. I watch NFL Red Zone, so like there's certain pieces to a game I'm not always going to be able to see. Apparently he played pretty decent, but it was mainly the defense that did the job for the Bears because they held the Lions. They basically shut out the Lions, if I recall, to like the very end of the third quarter. I think is when the Lions finally got on the scoreboard. But yeah, I don't. Detroit, I still think they're a tough team. I think they play people hard, and I think they're gonna get better and they're gonna get wins. I believe in Dan Campbell. I believe in Jared Goff as far as he's a starting caliber quarterback and he's a franchise quarterback in my opinion. Does that necessarily mean that he's good enough to get you to a Super Bowl? I don't know. Well, he got the Rams to a Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl, I mean. I think he has his limitations, but I still think he's better than a lot of the quarterbacks in the league. The Bears, they just announced that they're going to be starting Justin Fields throughout like the year. I still think Nick Foles should be the starter personally, but that's just me. Justin Fields, because he's a rookie, but I still see like stuff that you should know when you get to when you're in college and you're like playing that well and all that kind of stuff. Dude, reading a defense shouldn't be some foreign thing to you. Sliding coverage shouldn't be some foreign thing to you, and it has appeared to be that way. But he got his first win technically. He already kind of won a game earlier against Cincinnati where he came in for Andy after the first quarter. So I kind of consider that a win, but. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Justin Fields does. I still think he's going to be really good in the league. I do, but I still don't. I still think he doesn't necessarily give you the best chance to win as of right now because he's going to take his lumps. But you got to take your lumps to get better. So I don't hate the decision either. You got to do what you got to do. Panthers at Cowboys. Cowboys won. This really wasn't as close as the final score showed it to be. The Cowboys started to pull away at a certain point. Dak looked really good. The running game looked good. I'm an Ezekiel Elliott, not a Ezekiel Elliott guy, but I have him in fantasy, and everyone was really scared to take him. I'm happy that he's turning out, and he may not be getting 100-yard rushing games or whatever, but he's getting rushing touchdowns. They're making sure that he gets it in the end zone. He's your best end zone threat. So on defense, I just saw that this is 2 days ago. Jalen Smith, they released him. Apparently, if he would have got injured, his salary would have been guaranteed for next year, and they feel like they don't necessarily need him as of right now, which, I mean, I don't know. I think he's really talented, but that's your call. And then Green Bay just picked him up a couple hours ago, so good on them. I was hoping the Chiefs would pick him up because I know we need linebacker help, but they got him, so good on them. As far as Carolina goes, I kind of thought this would happen. Carolina, not that they're a fraudulent team, but when you beat the Jets and you beat Houston and you beat New Orleans, who Jameis is up and down, and like I said, props to them for beating New Orleans. I don't take that away from them, but the Houston win and the Jets win, you have to beat who's on your schedule. So I'm never going to be they're not that good. They're 3-1. They are 3-1. What that shows is some consistency to be able to beat even the bad teams. You have to show something. That being said, you're not the people that make it out oh, they've changed everything. No, don't overreact. They're a more solid team than they are last year. Sam Darnold's more dynamic than Teddy Bridgewater, but you're not a world beater just yet. I like to just wait and see how the season plays out before we start making these predictions on who's going to do this or whatever. Teams can come out to 3-0 starts. Doesn't necessarily mean you're even making the playoffs. So, but Sam Darnold, he showed me, because I saw talent before, but I never saw extreme arm talent. I saw a guy that doesn't really make that many deep throws. But Sam Darnold with his running ability, that is a thing, and I'm happy that Carolina's using that. So it's my cat. She'll just have to deal with me being in here right now. So, stop. All right, so Colts at Dolphins. I got this one right. I bet on this game. I bet on 8 games total this week because I saw a lot of good matchups that made some sense. I just do win and loss. I don't do point spread, but normally point spread plays into what you can win off of a team, like betting on them to win, how much they're favored or how much they're an underdog by. So Carson Wentz got his first win as a Colt. I thought this was an easy one to predict. Not to say easy, obviously they could have lost this game technically, but I like the Colts coming into this just because the Dolphins. Jacoby Brissett is a good backup quarterback, but he's still a backup quarterback. He's not meant to be a starter. He's kind of showing why, because he's going through struggles of not being able to put that many yards up. He's really inconsistent. He makes some, not bad throws necessarily, but just like, he doesn't have like supreme arm talent or anything like that. He's just kind of a guy. He's a big, stocky guy. I give him that. Like, he's got the build to be a really good quarterback. He just isn't. I don't know. Colts pulled it off with their running game, and then Carson Wentz had 2 touchdowns to his tight end, Mo Alley Cox, I think is the guy's name. So, I don't know. Jonathan Taylor looked good for him. Happy they got that win. Miami, I kind of predicted, Indy so far, I've gotten their 4 games, I predicted them exactly right. Their first 3 I knew were going to be tough. I knew they'd start out slow. I still think they missed the playoffs by this much, but maybe with Denver, Teddy Bridgewater being out, maybe that changes my season prediction where maybe Indy gets in instead of Denver. But Miami, I didn't think that they were going to be that good this year because their quarterback situation is like last year they had Ryan Fitzpatrick that started some of the games, got them some wins, and they were doing good, and they were like, no, we're going to put to it. And their defense last year was good enough where they were still able to get wins. I don't think they're as good this year. And granted, you could say their schedule's been a little tough, but yeah, I thought they would win it in week 1 in New England, and then since then, I've kind of thought that they would lose every one of their games, or almost every one of them at least. Okay, so the next game was Cleveland at Minnesota. I got this one wrong. I was hoping Minnesota would be able to pull this out. Kirk Cousins looked good first quarter. I think it was their opening drive, scores a touchdown. Then after that, they just stall and they couldn't get anything going. Cleveland, Baker did enough. And then basically it was basically the running game and defense playing solid is why they won. I know Baker, they say he's got a torn labrum in his left shoulder. Hopefully it doesn't keep him out of games because their backup's Case Keenum. He's capable of winning some games, but he's got a low ceiling in my opinion. But he's probably one of the better backups to have. So sucks for the Vikings. They've had a hard schedule. They really have. And it's probably not going to get any easier, but all right, Giants at Saints. This is a good win for the Giants. They needed a win, but the fact that they upset the Saints, because I thought the Saints were going to win. Daniel Jones looks, like you said, he shows some talent here and there where you're like, yeah, that could be the guy. But then he has other games where he doesn't show much. Jameis, I don't even know what his stat line was because, like I said, they weren't really showing a whole lot of this game, to be honest, on Red Zone. But this is kind of what Jameis does. It's literally week to week. One week he looks good and wins, and the next week he doesn't produce much and they lose. I will say he seems like he's doing a lot better handling the ball where he's not turning it over. I think he only has 2 turnovers so far this year, I think. I think Daniel Jones is doing the same thing. He's not turning the ball over as much, so that's good because we all want good quarterback play. So Saints are 2-2, Giants are 1-3. Titans at Jets. Jets got their first victory. This was an overtime win, but they probably could have wrapped it up in regulation had they done a few things different. On the Titans side, they were missing A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Those are 2, imagine any team missing their 2 best receivers. If the Chiefs are missing Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, it's not going to be the same offense. So, Zach Wilson looked good, especially in the fourth quarter. He looked good. I'm happy because the people that were, one, questioning whether Zach Wilson should even be taken that high, and secondly, how good he's going to be in the NFL. Yes, he looks baby-faced. Yes, he probably needs to put on a little bit of muscle or whatever to sustain some hits because he's definitely going to be taking them. But the dude has arm talent, and you can't deny that, and that's why they took him. And, yeah, with supreme arm talent, you can get away with some stuff, and you can make some awesome throws, and they won, and I think that's good. It's good for the NFL that they won this game because we don't want all these teams that were bad last year to just, you suck again. So I think it's good that they won, even though I like the Titans. But this was definitely an upset I didn't see coming, but I'm happy it happened. Arizona at the Rams, speaking of another upset I didn't see coming. I thought the Rams would be able to shut them down. I thought Matthew Stafford would continue to play lights out. He didn't. He had an off day. And then Kyler Murray and the Rams offense looked great. They basically couldn't be stopped. So the Cardinals, I would say as of right now, the Cardinals, Colin Cowherd does a top 10 teams every week. I don't know if you guys would care, but I would definitely do mine if you want to hear them. But the Cardinals, they didn't They didn't look like they could be stopped at all. I have them as the best team in the league as of right now. As of right now, that changes week to week. That doesn't mean I think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl or anything like that. But Kyler is proving me wrong in the sense of I thought he was going to be too small to be able to like constantly compete at quarterback because one, the hits you would take, and two, being able to see over the line and all that kind of stuff. He's a talented thrower of the football. Like he has a good arm. I don't think it's the greatest arm, honestly. People act like it's a cannon. He's got a good arm, but it's not a Mahomes arm or anything like that. But he puts a good like spiral on the ball. He throws a nice ball, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But as long as he's able to stay mobile and doesn't get like nicked up or anything like that, I mean, I guess he can constantly do this thing where he rolls out of the pocket, like dances out of the pocket, scrambles, all that kind of stuff, and it makes him really hard to defend and makes it hard to get them off the field because they're just, he'll scramble for a first down whenever he needs it. I think the Rams will be fine. I think they'll, bounce back. I think they'll be okay at a certain point. That doesn't necessarily mean this week. So Seattle at San Francisco, I have this one right. Although Jimmy G got hurt and Trey Lance came in, it's not like Trey Lance played bad. He just obviously isn't the efficient Jimmy G. And but I'm not going to bet against Russell Wilson very many times, and kind of worked out that way. Thought Seattle played good. They started off a little slow, but they picked it up in the second half. So Baltimore at Denver, I had this one, and I bet on this one. I thought this one was an easy one to call. Like, people might say, oh, Teddy Bridgewater got a concussed like halfway through the game or whatever, and that's why they lost. That's not why they lost. Like, Teddy, I think, is better than Drew Lock because he doesn't make the stupid mistakes. But that being said, Teddy literally all he does is do like play action and then check down to a running back or a tight end that's running across the field. That's all he does. But that can work to get you some wins when you have a really good defense and some talented receivers, and some good running backs. So Baltimore, Lamar, I'm not the biggest Lamar fan, but I can't deny the dude's record, and I can't deny that he's 1-3 in the playoffs, which I don't normally count playoff losses against somebody because that at least shows that you got your team to the playoffs more often than not. I don't know. But just looking at that, Lamar, they did that rushing thing at the end where they got their 100 yards rushing as a team, and they continued that. I'm torn on that because I do think it's like you care that much about that record that you're wanting to do it on the last play of the game. Like, it's like, I don't know. I just think like it tarnishes your record when you have to do that. It's not like a single player's rushing record where I'm like, yeah, go for it. If it's a single player stats, do it. When it's you rushing as a team, I don't really know what that shows when you had to pick up 5 yards at the very end of the game when you were up by 16. I don't know. Like, yeah, guys, we kept the streak alive. It's like, but you really didn't. You didn't get enough yards as you really needed. You just ran out that last play when you really didn't need to. So I think Vic Fangio has a right to be a little upset. As some people have said, you should have been more upset the fact that you lost by 16 points. I get that. With Teddy being out, I don't know how long he's going to be out, if he's only going to be out for this next week. But if he is, I think regardless, I think this next week's going to be tough for him. Pittsburgh at Green Bay, I got this one wrong just because I thought the line was too good to pass up to not try to bet the Steelers. But everyone's like, Big Ben can't play. Big Ben's offensive line isn't very good either, and that's the thing, is they're not giving him a whole lot of time to sit back and try to complete deep throws. I will say, Big Ben's probably knows that, and that's why he keeps checking the ball down, and it's infuriating to watch because, like, Najee Harris is getting, like, 19 targets a game or even more than that. I don't even know, but it's ridiculous. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers did their thing. They did their job. They only scored 27, which obviously shows Pittsburgh has a good defense, but I don't know. They did their thing. Green Bay looks good. Tampa Bay at New England. The rain, I think, made a difference. The fact that it was back in New England made Tom Brady, I think, a little jittery. When people said Mac Jones outplayed Tom Brady, I'll say that he might have been more productive than Tom Brady, but Mac Jones, the 19 completions that he threw, most of those were just little checkdowns. So, like, I'm still not super impressed with Mac Jones. Don't hate the guy, but I'm not super impressed with him yet. I still think Cam would have been the better option, but that's just me. I do like Cam. And then the last game I bet on, and it didn't work out for me, was Raiders-Chargers, the Monday night game. Chargers look good. Raiders, not so much. I mean, they weren't like a flawless 3-0 team. They had some issues, but I still like Derek Carr as of right now. like, I think he's more ready to win right now than Justin Herbert. I still think Justin Herbert might have some growing pains that people aren't seeing, but the dude is really calm in the pocket. He's talented. He's got a really good arm. He's pretty accurate. So I'm not saying Justin Herbert sucks. He's definitely really good. I just like that Raiders team overall more than the Chargers. So overall with the picks, I think because 16 games, I think I went 8-8 this week. So not great, but not terrible. And then with my betting, I bet on 8 games. I went 3-5. It was a little rough for me there. So my top 10 teams, I'll try to do this like Colin Cowherd. My number 10 team's Dallas. I think Dallas has shown they got talent on offense, talent on defense, and they've done their jobs for the most part. And their only loss was Week 1, Tampa Bay, where they lost by this much. So number 9, I have the Chargers, and my number 8's the Raiders. And everyone's like, how can you do that? Because the Chargers just beat the Raiders. Let the Raiders clean some things up. I think the Raiders overall by the end of the year will be a better team than the Chargers. I think the Chargers, once people crack down on, like, because I think Austin Eckler, he's talented, but he's not that great at running through like the tackles and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's where the Chargers will struggle. So I think if you kind of like force them to run the ball, I don't think they're going to be able to beat you. I think they need to drop more people into coverage to guard them, honestly. But that's just my opinion. I think the Raiders still are a better team. I'm more impressed with them so far than the Chargers, and that's just by this much. But so I have Chargers 9, Raiders 8. My number 7 team's the Rams. I think the Rams have shown that Matthew Stafford he's great, but he's not he's not the second coming of Christ like some people treat him out to be. Like, dude, what was Detroit doing? Like, they had this gem the whole time. Yeah, Detroit might have been dysfunctional, but it's not like Matthew Stafford was just lighting everybody up every week. He still had some of his issues too. My number 6 team is the Browns. I think the Browns are overall really solid. The fact that Baker, think about this. Minnesota's offense hadn't really been stopped like the first 3 weeks of the season, and the fact that Baker with a bum, Baker's got an injury to his left shoulder. It affects his throwing. They only allowed 7 points. The Browns only allowed 7 points. Like, their defense is really good. The running game is really good, and obviously when Baker's healthy and playing well, their passing game could be really good too. Number 5, who did I have? Give me 1 second. I'm thinking. Who did I have as number 5? Oh, Baltimore. So the Ravens, I think. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They beat my Chiefs. Granted, we had a late turnover. Otherwise, we probably would have won that game. But still, we didn't. And I don't have my Chiefs in this list. We still got to get some more wins before I'm willing to put us back in the list in the top 10. But Ravens look good so far. The passing game, I think Sammy Watkins actually helped them more than I thought he would because he literally played like 3 games a year for us. I don't hate the guy. I just calling it what it is. He's a talented receiver. I just wish he was healthy more often. But yeah, I don't know. They look solid so far, but we'll see. They're in a really tough division, and I don't think they've played any divisional games yet. So we'll see what happens. Number 4, I'm going to go Buffalo. Josh Allen, they're beating who they're supposed to beat. Number 3, I'll go Green Bay. I do think Green Bay is slightly better than Buffalo. I think that's like really close, but I will take Green Bay if I have to, just because I trust Aaron Rodgers more than I trust Josh Allen. Number 2, I'd go Tampa Bay because they've only lost once. Granted, they kind of got blown out by the Rams, but still, they're the defending champs. I got to give them their respect. And then number 1, I'll go Arizona because they haven't looked. Jacksonville gave them, some problems, and then they rebounded from that. And then Minnesota, they should have lost, but they didn't. But they're the only undefeated team left. I got to give them their props. So, all right. So that's it for Week 4. I initially was going to cut these into 2 videos, but since I don't have very many people watching right now, I'm going to do what I do. If you guys like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you can tell me, hey, I wish you would do this different or whatever, and I would try to change things up. And I would like to do eventually graphics and have a better place to film and all that kind of stuff, better equipment. Kind of struggling right now. So Week 5, so this is tonight because I'm recording this Thursday. So Rams, Seahawks, kickoffs in 4 hours. I'm going to take the Seahawks in an upset. They're at home. I think these teams are closer, I think, than some people are realizing. Like, Russell Wilson's great. hard to stop that dude anyway. They got two really good wide receivers. DK Metcalf, I think, is an elite receiver. And Tyler Lockett's like the best number 2 receiver you could have, honestly, because he sometimes is even more productive than the number 1. That being said, he doesn't have the intangibles that Metcalf has. But the running game, they got Alex Collins and Chris Carson. Alex Collins has been playing pretty well. I think he used to be on Baltimore, but they look good. Offensively, I don't have any issues with them. Defensively, I don't know how good they're going to do, but they have Jamal Adams. I know that. Their secondary, I think, is pretty good. But so, yeah, I'll take Seattle in this one. Obviously, I could see if the Rams pull this off, but I bet on Seattle in this one. They're minus 2.5 right now. I would take Seattle. Jets at Falcons, but it's not actually at Atlanta. It's in London. I will take Atlanta in this one, and I wouldn't bet on it, but the fact that they're favorites by 3 points. Take the Falcons. The Jets, if they can show some consistency and pull out a win here, even though, yeah, the Falcons are 1-3, good on them. Just keep building towards the future. But let's see. Next one, Packers at Bengals. I'll take the Packers. I don't know what else to say here. I mean, obviously, I could see the Bengals winning because of how well they've played so far, but Joe Burrow is not Aaron Rodgers yet. So, but that should be a really fun matchup to watch. Lions at Vikings. The line was 9, I believe, and now it's back to 7.5. I bet on the Lions here. I think I had them at minus 8 when I bet. So the Vikings, I like Kirk Cousins. I like that team, all that kind of stuff, but I still think that they got their limitations on their defense, and Lions got to get a win at some point. They got to get a win at some point. They've been playing everybody pretty tough, I think. So, and I just think that line's too tantalizing not to take a crack at that. So Denver at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a 1-point favorite. I don't know if they're going to have Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know that yet. But even if they do, I think Pittsburgh's defense could shut them out because they're a legit team. And then on offense, it's gonna be hard for Big Ben. But I gotta think they're at home. I think they can pull this off because they don't have to worry about Denver's offense putting up a lot of points. I don't think. Okay, so Dolphins at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's favored by 10 at home versus Miami. Yeah, I don't see a way where Miami really gives them all that much problems. Maybe Miami's defense could do something to Tampa Bay. I don't know. But on offense, I don't think Miami's going to be able to do anything against Tampa. So, take Tampa there. New Orleans is a 1.5 favorite on the road against Washington. I do think the Saints win this game. Wouldn't bet on Washington. I don't know. Washington's this weird team where every other week they seem to be pulling a win out of nowhere, but every other week they're getting blown out as well. So I would say look for the Saints to rebound and do some damage here. They've been playing really good on the road, actually. Philly at Carolina. I'll take Carolina in this one. I trust Sam Darnold more than I trust Jalen Hurts. I trust Carolina's coaching more than I trust Nick Sirianni. And I trust Carolina's defense. Carolina just traded with the Patriots to get Stephon Gilmore. I think it's a great trade. I don't know. I mean, maybe Belichick sees something about Gilmore is slipping or something like that, or maybe he just thinks he's owed too much money. But Carolina's yeah, we'll take him. J.C. Horn just got injured. Sure, we'll plug you in there. So I think that's a great move by them. I think more teams should be aggressive because they're 3-1, and they're not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, but they're saying we want to give this team the best chance they can to try and win. What are we worried about salary cap for or whatever? So. Titans at Jacksonville. Titans are favored by 4. I mean, I have the Titans winning this, but if Jacksonville got a win here, I wouldn't be too surprised. Don't know how the receivers, if A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are playing, so we'll see what happens on that front. We'll see what happens with Urban Meyer. I think if he gets some wins, he'll start shutting everybody up, but the media, I think, really doesn't like him for some reason. Patriots at Texans. Patriots are favored by 9. On the road. I can see this because of the fact of how well they played Tampa Bay, how well their defense looked, and the fact that Houston just got blown out 40-0 by Buffalo. So I'll take the Patriots in this one. And then Bears at Raiders. If the Bears had started somebody different, I might have considered the Bears here, but Raiders are favored by 5.5 at home. I think they've played really well in their stadium. And Justin Fields, I think, is going to have some more growing pains. So I'm going to take the Raiders. Browns at Chargers. This one for me I thought was one that looked tantalizing. Browns are dogs by 1.5 points. Chargers are favored by 1.5. I know it's at home. It's in LA, but I'll take the Browns. Browns have a better running game. Browns have a better defense, in my opinion, even though the Chargers defense looks solid at certain positions, but I think Cleveland has a better defense. So I'll take Cleveland here. And honestly, I like Baker a lot. I like Baker's leadership. I like his moxie. I like his accuracy. Baker, I think, is more accurate than Justin Herbert. Not that Justin Herbert's not accurate, but I'll take Baker. Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys are favored by 7. I'll take Dallas. And by the way, when I say I'll take a team, I'm not saying that I'm taking them with the spread as far as, I'll take this team to cover or whatever. I'm telling you the spread and then just saying which team I think will win the game and if I think it's worth betting on to bet the underdog. So, I think Dallas probably routs them, honestly, with how good they've been looking. San Francisco at Arizona. Jimmy G's still questionable for this game. If Jimmy G ends up playing, I'll probably take San Francisco to upset them. That's just because Arizona's favored by 5.5, and if you bet San Francisco to win, you might get a decent return if they manage to pull it off. If it's Trey Lance, I'll take Arizona. Not that I don't like Trey Lance, but I don't see him just coming out of nowhere and upsetting Arizona. So I'll take Arizona as of right now because I don't think Jimmy G will start because I think San Francisco has a bye next week, and I think they'd rather give Jimmy G 2 more weeks to recover from his injury before they even try to play him. And that lets them see what they got in Trey Lance for a whole game. So the Sunday night game is Bills at Chiefs. I'll take my Chiefs, even if they weren't my favorite team, my hometown team. Even if they weren't that, I'd still take the Chiefs. I still think they're more talented offensively. And then defensively, Buffalo, their defense definitely looks better, but what I'll say is that Buffalo has been playing some cream puffs on their schedule a little bit with, playing Miami. Miami doesn't look all that good right now as far as offensively. Playing Houston, that doesn't look all that impressive. But that being said, like before, and Washington, you still have to beat who's on your schedule. So I'll take the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5. They're at home. I think that's probably right. And then you got Indy going to Baltimore. While I would like to see Carson Wentz come in there and get a win, I don't think they'll be able to do it. I'll take Lamar. I'll take Baltimore. Baltimore's favored by 7. So overall, I had 3 games that I liked. I said Cleveland Chargers I liked as far as betting on, and Detroit at Minnesota, and this Thursday night game tonight, Rams and Seahawks. So that's it for the preview. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next week.